In the last video, I finally caught the bad man. Third time is the charm, literally. Now, I have a missing persons case to solve. A dear friend, someone who I share an unbreakable bond with. Even though I've only met her like 12 times, Margaret calls me to tell me she has absolutely nothing. Teddy starts asking for a beating. He's certainly living his best life. I have even more flashbacks of Marie. You'd nearly think she had more than 12 scenes. Margaret calls me once again to let me know she has absolutely nothing. I think she just likes chatting to me. I help Nanako with her homework, who would rather be watching Power Rangers, so I make her watch the weather reports. I get even more flashbacks. They're really pushing this friendship thing. Good thing Margaret found her. It's unfortunate that I can't go in. I guess I'll just hit the slopes instead, where Kanji gets some action. Yes, you go Kanji, you madman. I've never been more proud. Teddy proceeds to flatten my bro. Yosuke has all the bad luck. Rise once again proves she's thirstier than a man stranded in the Sahara Desert. The others begin to argue who gets to spend the day with me. Now that is unusual. In real life, it's normally people arguing who gets stuck with me for the day. But really, all I need is my bro, who proceeds to ignore me and spend the day with Chie. Well, two can play at that game. I'll hang out with the idol then, where I proceed to get us lost. Good thing I managed to find a cottage, where I proceed to break in. Time for some action. Yosuke proceeds to intervene when I'm finally about to have a good time.
Rise-chan, don't tell me. Were you waiting for an audience? What daring lovers! How shameless! You're no different from your shadow. But okay, I'll take a front row seat and...
Teddy, you have no shame. I'm very proud. Every single one of us proceeds to get overpowered by a mere hand. It must have been the mountain from Game of Thrones or something that was dragging us in. It was actually Margaret. Well, that is embarrassing. Who finally led me to Marie. At last, I could get started. Except Naoto made me wait a day. Because reasons. It's a good thing they found fuck all in the day they had. So basically, we could have started then and there. Ah sure, at least now I can get started. The good news is, enemies in this dungeon are really weak to magic attacks. Bad news, SP goes down quite a bit in this dungeon after each battle. But that wasn't going to stop me. Pixie is here to kick some ass, and that's what she's gonna do. The battles were quick, and since I had maxed out Rise's social link, we always got a little bit of SP going into each battle. I even managed to get Pixie null fire. I'm afraid it wasn't always smooth sailing. This guy loved to summon, and even though he was weak to physical, it did fuck all. And then there was the silence, and he had dodge physical. And did I mention he liked to summon? It was tedious. This guy was obsessed with dragging this fight out, even summoning a big guy and setting up a magic wall. I was never so happy to see a fight end than this one. And don't get me started on this lad. Nullifies everything and is strong to physical. Loves to inflict status effects, although that didn't work out in his favour this time. But he also has high counter. He's like those Yoshitsune builds in 5. And he has spirit drain. My SP is low enough. I don't need him taking it. I decided to get rid of his pesky wind resistance, so I could hit him at least once before he took the rest of my SP. Rise saved the day by giving me more SP, which allowed me to attack him a few more times. Near the end, the son of a bitch charged up and almost killed me. Another fight I was delighted to see the end of. Marie was just up ahead, who's quite clearly depressed, so I decide some tough love is clearly the solution. She does hit hard, but the first phase is quite simple. Just keep hitting her until she uses Shell of Denial. Then I just guard until she gives up. Next up is the second phase. She nullifies all attacks, but the dungeon gives you plenty of items to get rid of that problem. I had a few items to deal magic damage as well, so that was handy. This boss was really easy. She took a lot of damage from my attacks, and she took damage on her own every couple of turns. And sure, she took some of our SP, but I had plenty of SP restoring items. She did throw a temper tantrum and almost killed Teddy, but he's a stubborn one, so he lived. So after a fairly simple fight, I defeated this mighty beast. Time for the guys to go act like pervs, and proceeded to get assaulted once again. This game really does love a spa scene. Nanako attempts to poison me, and I have no choice but to accept my fate. My work was done. It was time for me to leave. It was difficult to say goodbye, especially to my bro. Well, no use crying about it. Time to beat it. But then I remembered something. Something important. That damned gas station attendant promised me a job and never got me one. That's it. We're throwing slaps. I more or less get told to do one, but I wouldn't fuck off. So she conceded that I was indeed correct. Once again, I had made a massive error in my judgment. I have picked a fight with a god. So I called my crew for our last mission. I'm going to teach that god that promises need to be kept. This dungeon wasn't particularly challenging. I made it to the first boss with relative ease, and then I kicked his ass. His little rampage move didn't even do much damage. Easy victory. That's not to say I didn't do stupid shit in this dungeon, like using a fire attack on the one enemy who wasn't weak to it, and I did get lost for about 5 minutes. Don't ask me how I did that, because I don't even know how I did that. I ran into a big guy that Pixie would destroy, except he takes fuck all damage. Fortunately, the all-out attacks do a bit more damage, because lightning did nothing. We were finally at the end of our journey. It was time to kick this god's ass. The first phase was non-eventful, to be honest, if you ignore the fact that she kicked the shit out of Teddy and killed Kanji, of course. But hey, other than that, this went really well. I finally got to use that null fire. After all that, I got to use it for one battle. She then proceeds to pull some bullshit to make her invincible, which means I have no choice but to guard. Then I pull some bullshit of my own and reveal her true form.
Well then, allow me to show you my full splendor.
Good God, she's hideous. I start the second phase strong by using a move that she drains. Go me! Other than that, this phase wasn't particularly difficult either. I was never close to dying. It was just tedious. My missing certainly didn't help with things. The fight was basically just 30 minutes of repeating the same patterns. Her main move doesn't even do a lot of damage, and her summons to Yami move is basically useless because it misses every time. The fact that it misses so much leads me to believe that it's an insta-kill move, which would have driven me nuts if it landed on me. Realizing she had been bested by the superior fighter, she uses some super secret voodoo technique and sends us all to oblivion. Probably should have started with that one, I say. That's it. That's the end. I lost. Next thing I know, I start hearing voices in my head. Clearly, I'm going insane. But at least they're voices of encouragement. Sick of listening to all the bullshit motivation, I get up and awaken to a new persona that I don't even want. I strike a pose and use this persona to end this game once and for all. I could have stopped it here and really beaten the game using only Pixie, but where's the fun in that? Now, my work was truly done. It was an emotional goodbye. Tears were shed, and the others cried too. With the game beaten using only Pixie, I rode off into the sunset.